Right, so how are you doing?
I've had butterflies all day, but they seem to have subsided. Basically, we're going on a journey to get our gas installed, and it's going to take us about 3 days to get there. I'm not quite sure yet. Of course it's raining.
Of course.
I've been really nervous because we haven't had the engine, well, We've run the engine. We ran the engine a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
We haven't actually been out of here for a couple of years.
3. It's 3 years.
We've checked the fuel. There's no sign of diesel bug, so
yep.
Fingers crossed. I felt a lot better after checking the fuel. Basically, because this marina is on a river, quite a fast, powerful river. It's always a bit nerve-wracking going out.
It'll be fine.
It's just like, I just don't want the engine to stall on the river.
It'll be fine.
Once we're through this stretch, I'll be fine.
Yeah, we've only got 2 hours to do today, so it all should go fairly smoothly.
Yeah.
Okay, we're underway, and it feels nice, but it feels very, very odd to actually be in motion. Have a look at this. How are you doing?
I'm nervous. Engine sounds fine, but you know, anything could happen.
Confidence! They're really hassling us now.
Oh my god.
Whoa! Are they getting violent?
I think that adult swan is begging.
Oh, God. Okay.
Okay.
So how are you feeling about the fact that we just moored and like got one bit done?
Well, the river was absolutely fine, completely uneventful, lovely. Did the 2 locks that we needed to get here. It was 5 o'clock when we left the first lock.
Yeah.
It's now 6:40.
Yeah. We had a bit of a nightmare mooring here. It wasn't nice.
I reckon we might have spent 40 minutes of that trying to moor up.
It's all fine.
Yeah, I wondered why not many boats moored down this bit of the stretch, why they're all further up. And it seems to be because the bank is full of stones that have sort of tumbled down, and we kept getting stuck and trying to move it a bit and trying to pull, and nothing was happening, and
no fun.
Yeah, but I don't think we can moor further up because there seems to be a load of construction going on up there, and I don't want to go down there and then get stuck.
And then have to turn around. Yeah. Yes. No.
Go all the way up and turn around.
Not doing that.
Yeah.
So
just cope down here.
Yeah. And
a
now.
A little bit away from the bank.
Yes.
Not too much.
And now we eat.
Thank God. I'm hungry.
Okay, this is the point where I actually need to start sounding intelligible. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. It's 8 o'clock on Tuesday morning. So, oh, and there's a boat going past. Well, that was unexpected. This is one of the many unexpected things about the boat not being where it normally is, which is taking some getting used to. Yeah, we're hoping. I've already had a little bit of breakfast. We'll be having some scrambled eggs in a minute. We're hoping to be able to get ready to go fairly soon. I mean, maybe a little after 9, probably a little bit later than that, depending on how things go. But because we've got a fair amount to do today. It actually occurred to me that the detail we haven't sort of explained yet is that we're doing this journey without electricity, and we're also kind of doing this journey without full-scale plumbing. We do have sinks are in, so we have a way of getting rid of water, but none of the taps actually work yet, so we're having to basically just like bring all the water with us. We're stopping off at a marina today, so we'll be refilling a lot of the water bottles we've got. And yeah, it's a 3-day journey, no electricity and no plumbing. Excitement. But yeah, I slept okay last night. I was a bit up and down, but because we're sleeping on an airbed, so that's fun. Looking forward to eggs, and looking forward to getting moving, because today is the day we need to get a fair amount done. There's a distance that we need to cover today that it would be helpful, because we don't want to run into problems tomorrow. But yeah, and I don't know if you can hear it, but in the distance someone is banging metal, which is very nice for just after 8 o'clock. So yeah, I think eggs, and then we'll be getting into action fairly soon. So, I guess the important question is, where are we?
Zoosh Lock.
Why is it called Zoosh Lock?
I don't know. I think there is an Ashby de la Zouche, but I don't know whether we're near it.
Okay.
It was very grey when we were on the Trent, but it turned into a lovely sort of late afternoon evening.
Yes.
As we were coming down.
Look at the sky. Look at this sky.
And it's 7 o'clock now, so we've moored up just in time before the sun sets. We needed to push it as far as we could today, because it's a long journey, and the Trent took longer than we hoped it would.
Yeah.
It was faster the other way when we were going in the direction of the current.
Hey ho.
But yeah, this is where we hoped to get to, and we managed to get here, so I'm happy with that.
Hurrah. It is the morning of Wednesday, the 11th of September. Time is getting a bit difficult to keep track of. We did not have as good a night's sleep last night as we hoped. Both Emma and I are feeling not wonderful this morning, and it's probably about 7:40ish, and we've got a lot to do today, because I was kind of hoping that Wednesday was gonna just be a relatively gentle day, where we would have gotten like most of the way and things would, so we'd only have maybe like 3 hours of travel to do or something. We are not in that position, because we pretty much have to do the amount of travel we did yesterday, and that was like 9 hours. So today is going to be a bit intense, because basically, ideally speaking, we want to be sort of next to the boatyard where the LPG install is being done tonight, so that the boat handover can happen tomorrow morning. And yeah, there's an intimidating amount of distance between where we are now and where we need to be. And it's rather a bleak and windy day, just to make life even more exciting. Yeah, it's kind of, we'd forgotten how demanding this can be, especially because we haven't really had a lot of opportunities to sort of there have been some enjoyable times on the journey, but also there's very, very much the sense of we need to get here by this point. We need to get here by this point. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the journey back is going to be a lot easier, because the journey back we don't have a time limit, so we can basically take it at whatever speed we, relatively speaking, we want to, even though we really don't want to be spending more nights sleeping on this damn airbed than we have to. Yeah, so that's the situation. I have no idea if we'll actually have the opportunity to film anything else today, because yeah, it's going to be one of those days when the priority is just getting the amount of travel done that we need to get done, and everything else is just going to have to wait. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to do an update tonight, and hopefully it'll be like we had a busy day and it was intense, but we got there in the end. So I guess we'll see. Well, hello. So it's about 11 hours since we set off. How are you? I think we're both feeling pretty tired.
Well, we've decided we're going to try and do this over 3 days instead of 2.
Yes.
On the way back, because today was absolutely exhausting.
It was too much.
Turns out the River Soar gets really, really twisty after Loughborough, which added probably doubled the amount of miles we had to go. It's ridiculous. It's just like, you turn your boat one way and then you have to turn it another way and then turn it back, and there are just parts where we were worried about getting round, and tree branches in the river.
I mean, it was lovely. It was. This is the thing. I mean, there was some absolutely gorgeous scenery that we saw there, but it was also a bit like wandering through the jungle on a boat, and every so often I just like had to sort of wonder whether something was just going to like loom out of the undergrowth at us. It was a difficult day.
Yeah, it was lovely and sunny most of the afternoon. The wind got quite high. Yes. For a couple of hours. Which made doing the River Soar particularly scary. But it is beautiful. It's just so pastoral.
Yes, it was a day with a lot, because
we went through a lot of locks. Some of which were like really quite deep and scary. Yeah. And mostly we just sort of. I remember this from the boat holiday, when you're just travelling intensely. It's like, I don't want to travel like this when I'm on the boat. I'd like to poodle along for a couple of hours and find the next mooring spot. I'm not going to do like 12-hour days. Yeah. And we had a fantastic time at the services.
Oh my god. Oh god. Yes. We
needed to use the Alsan and fill like our billion water bottles with some more water, but there's a code thing on the Alsan and the WC, and it's.
To briefly explain, most canal services you have a specific key that you can use that's supposed to like sort of get you in everywhere if you're one of the special people who have the key. We had the key, and there was a code as well that nobody told us.
Yeah, so, well, fortunately there was a boat moored nearby, and we went and knocked on their boat, and they actually had the code, so that was brilliant after a scary few minutes trying to figure out what to do. I guess we would have had to call Canal and River Trust. But when you're on a sort of on a bit of a timer, we didn't want to be hanging around trying to get numbers and things.
Yeah,
and we had a full loo.
Yes. It was very full.
So yeah, that was a hairy moment. And then the basin at Loughborough, I was too nervous to try and turn around in it, because it was quite tightly packed with boats, and it's not very big, and so I ended up having to reverse out and up about 50 yards, or
it was more than that.
100 yards up to where there's like a junction that turns off from where the basin is, and that was the least fun ever. Just, you know, wandering, because you don't have steering when you're going backwards, so we were just wandering back and forth along the canal. Yes, going on all the places where you don't want to take your boat, where there's all sort of reeds and rubbish.
But we made it, and tomorrow morning we hand over the boat and everything will be fine.
Yeah. And then we have to do it all again backwards.
Yay! And that is where the record of our journey to Thurmaston ends. Thursday morning was basically a bit tense and fully focused on just getting to the boatyard, so we didn't really have any time to film. But everything went fine. We got to the boatyard, we handed the boat over, and then we were able to just go and rest. The LPG install was being done by an engineer called Chris Williams, and he was brilliant all the way through the process, very helpful, and we'd originally discussed possibly picking the boat up the following day, because he'd actually said that the install was probably only going to take about 2 days. And so we'd sort of thought, right, we could pick it up on Friday the 13th and start the journey back. We're so glad we didn't do that, because we were exhausted. All that intense travelling combined with not getting fantastic sleep meant that we just basically came back and were just so happy to say, we'll pick the boat up on the Monday. And yeah, so that's what we did. We had a weekend where we were able to catch our breath, and then we were dropped back at Thurmaston on Monday morning. We picked the boat up, had a look at the work that had been done, were very, very happy with it. And then it was just a matter of setting off and beginning the journey back to Nottingham. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm very hungry. I've got to sort of wait until we've got a point where we can stop and eat.
So, yeah, we got lots of locks happening at the moment, don't we?
Yeah. So it's a bit difficult to prep some food and eat. We probably should have prepped some food before we set off, but we'll get our heads around that as we get a bit more experience.
Yes, we will. It'll all be fine. It'll all be fine. Are you happy with the progress so far?
Yes, it seems to be faster in this direction, or maybe that's because we're less stressed, but the river is flowing in this direction, so it seems to be making a bit of a difference, which is good. Also, we're taking a day longer to come back than we did on the way, because it was a little bit too stressful on the way.
Yeah, it was a bit much.
It was 2 very long days. So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to moor up by mid-afternoon this time.
Where are we aiming for?
Well, we're hoping to stop at Barrow and Soar, because we need to use the services there anyway. It did look busy on the way down, but as we'll be arriving earlier, we might be able to get a space.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Right, so what have we got here? Oh God. Oh dear. Oh dear. It's all fine. It's all fine. Not scary in the slightest. Oh my goodness gracious me. Carefully, we let this wind back down, brake back on. This is the other thing about these locks. There is just a ridiculous amount of clambering around in high places. There we go. Oh, careful. Okay, right, chuck it, right. Okay, I'll just bring you in a tiny bit. Okay, 1, 2. One more time. Right. And I've already given you the windlass, haven't I? Right. I'll give a push to the front. Fine, okay. Okay, let me oh, sorry. Thank you. You happy with that? It's 6:15 and we have moored at Barrow upon Soar, and it's so nice. We moored at 4 o'clock and we've had like almost 2 hours of being able to do stuff, and it's still daylight, and we didn't have this last week. It was quite intense. This is a nice change, isn't it?
Yes. I think we were here earlier than 4, you know. I think we're at the services for like 3:15 or something.
Oh yeah, because it should be said that the services are like about 100 metres in that direction or so.
Yeah.
Which is not bad.
She's really civilised. We can top up with water tomorrow before we go anywhere.
How are you feeling about how it's gone?
I was stressed earlier because we'd had a sort of a stressful journey down, and but it's been nice and tranquil. We've been moored up, got everything sorted while it's still light. We don't have to do any cooking or anything now, so we could actually go for a stroll.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, we're going to go for a stroll on a mow, and one of the nice things about today is today has had a lot of what I'm looking forward to about boat life, because we've kind of had the opportunity to properly enjoy it. There wasn't, I mean, oh God, especially on like the last main day that we did on the journey down, it was so relentless because we knew that there was a point that we needed to get to because we needed to do the handover in the morning, and it was just the stuff towards the end of the final big day last week. The stuff that we did today is quite tough. There was like a sort of a 2 to 3 hour stretch where we had 4 locks, most of which were quite close together, and honestly, it was quite tiring just doing it this morning when we were fresh and we hadn't been like boating for 2 days. So I'm not entirely sure how we got through that on our.
And then the really, really windy bit.
Oh, talk about the windy bit. Sorry.
There's a really, really windy stretch between Barrow and mainly Mohr Lock, but I don't know, it goes on, I don't know, perhaps down to Cossington.
Yeah.
The windiness.
There's a lot of very extreme turns to do there.
Yeah, it's sort of like you're having to do this with the tiller. Well,
yeah.
Behind you, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, when we came down, it was really windy when we were doing it, so we were sort of like, we were getting buffeted all over. Well, we were doing these bends, and we almost crashed into someone. He came flying around this blind
Oh, that
bend.
guy! Yes, I remember that guy.
Yeah.
That guy was not stopping.
Yeah, and just like put us in a right panic, and I sort of like had to fling it into reverse because otherwise we would just gone straight into the side of him because he came past so fast.
But today was much better.
Yes, yes. I mean, I'm not really looking forward to doing like Barrow deep lock.
I know.
Because it's a very deep lock.
I know.
And deep locks scare me.
It's okay.
Just locks make me nervous. I'm not used to locks yet.
Yeah. It's okay.
It will get better.
Yeah. But we're doing okay, and we're going to go and have a stroll.
Yes.
Oh, you right?
Barrow of trees. Oh. Internet cafe and sweet shop.
Oh, fantastic! Market. Oh, careful! Before you go in, I just wanted to ask: does it feel nice to have come back and find the boat still here?
Yes.
Especially since we used pins.
We used pins, and it's a little bit soft, but it's all fine. We're still here.
And it's been a very nice stroll.
Yes. It's been a much more positive boating experience today. Yeah, we went and had a little explore of Barrow and found the co-op. And Barrow is very nice and has lots of really nice restaurants and pubs and nice food in the co-op. And we've just come back, and there's like a family of swans being fed just opposite us, and there's 9 babies. And then we've randomly found a zoo in the
Yes, there appear to be alpacas somewhere in over there.
Like alpacas and a Shetland pony, I think, or something like that.
So not a bad evening overall.
Not a bad evening.
So it's Tuesday morning. We slept not bad. It's still sleeping on an airbed, so it's never going to be fantastic. We actually had a relatively late start. We didn't get going until 10 AM, and we've done our first lock of the day. It was Barrow deep lock, and it took an eternity to fill, but we got there in the end. And yes, now we are heading towards Loughborough, where we will be stopping off to we will be nipping in the Tesco there and getting a few provisions for tonight. And today it's just going to be trying to get enough distance so that tomorrow isn't too stressful a day, because we're hoping, in theory, to get to Nottingham at the end of tomorrow and be able to moor in Nottingham in town and then return to our marina the day after on the Thursday. That is the theory. We will see how that goes. So how's it going?
Well, it's a lovely morning. It's quite cold. I think I need to get some warmer night clothes.
It was quite cold last night, wasn't it?
Yes. But it's nice and sunny, and we got through Barrow deep lock with no trouble. It wasn't as deep as I remembered it, but I think that's possibly because it fills really, really slowly and empties quite quickly.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit leaky, and so that's out of the way, and there's no locks now till after Loughborough. Yeah, having a nice day.
So how are you doing?
Pretty good. It's been a really nice sunny day, much more relaxed. Nice scenery.
Yeah, it's very. This whole stretch has been really, really nice.
Really lovely. We're moored up somewhere. There's a pub nearby called the Otter, and it has there's a lot of private moorings along that side. But this side of the river it seems to be pilings for miles. So
do you want to just explain what pilings are? I mean, I think
they're called pilings.
Yeah.
Aluminium.
I don't know.
I think they're also called Armco.
Yeah.
Armco.
It's basically metal that's like attached to the side of the bank.
Yeah, gives you a nice straight bank. Yes, and it's very convenient for mooring up on.
Yes.
Much safer than pins.
Yes, yes, because we are using, as you can see down here, chains. We moored with pins last night, didn't we? That was...
Yes. I did have to check a couple of times.
It was fine. It wasn't a problem. Are you recovered from the slight complication we had actually mooring up here? If you want
yeah, I mean, I actually wasn't that stressed about it. That we just sort of scraping on rocks, but we've managed to find a patch, you know, just a few yards further down that seems to be fine.
It was just briefly scary because we were just like coming in and I was ready to jump off, and then suddenly there were these huge rocks just under the water, and I was like, oh crap, it's really shallow.
No, it's good, and I'm feeling a lot better today because I was poorly on the way down, which made things much worse, and I hurt my hip. I do not know how I hurt my hip. I don't know whether I was just standing in the same position for too long on the back of the boat, or whether I'd fended off at a lock or something. But yeah, I was limping for a few days.
But you are doing better now.
I'm doing much better, so this has been a lot more enjoyable. Yes, and I'm looking forward to having some tea and just relaxing for the rest of the evening. This
sounds very good. Should we go have food?
Yes.
Excellent.
It's Wednesday the 18th, and it's just before 8 in the morning, and it is a very, very lovely, very crisp, very misty morning. Now, I had to get out of it because we were just like looking out the window and going, oh my god, it's so misty and gorgeous out here. Cold night. Yeah, that was, I think it got down to about 6 degrees, and yes, having no heating on top of everything else doesn't obviously mean if you have a 6-degree night, it gets pretty cold about 4 or 5 a.m. and yeah, we're gonna be exploring different ways of coping with that, because obviously, I mean, you know, we will have a heating system fairly soon, but it's gonna be the stove, and we're not gonna be able to do the stove at all times of the year when it's a little bit cold, so we'll figure out things. But oh god, this is lovely. This really is. It's just, yeah, this is the kind of stuff that we dreamed about. This is just like, this is the kind of concept that's sort of been keeping us going through doing this, is just the idea of just being able to like moor up somewhere lovely and in the middle of nowhere. And yeah, it's really, really quiet. We seem to be on a track between two villages, and like there are occasional runners, but very, very occasional. I think we saw maybe about 5 people go past last night. Yeah, dead quiet. Can't see anyone at the moment. And yeah, hopefully we'll be getting going in the next half hour. And we've got a fair amount to do today. We want to try and get to Nottingham tonight. We're going to be mooring in town, and then we'll be returning to the marina tomorrow. And fingers crossed it should work, because we'll be leaving the Soar. The wonderful windingness of the Soar is going to be behind us from about late morning onwards, and then we'll be back on the Trent. And yeah, today it should go pretty well, and it's certainly off to a very, very lovely start.
Good morning, Emma.
Good morning.
Do you want to say something about how lovely it is this morning?
Look at how lovely it is.
Oh,
Thank you.
that's all right.
Yeah, it's like really beautiful. There was loads more mist when we woke up as well, but just I can't even see in this direction. It's just a solid wall of sort of mist and sunlight.
Oh,
Let me show you something I did wrong last night.
all right. What did?
This goes to show that, you know, we haven't actually done anything on a boat for like 3 years.
Yeah.
You don't do mooring chains like that. You put that one through that one and tie your rope to the little one.
Oh.
So it makes a knot.
Right. Well, it's, you know, well, A, it's been 3.5 years, and B, it worked. So,
Yeah,
I mean, we won't do it like that again, but we'll, you know, there's going to be
well,
little...
it is a fact. Maybe there isn't a right way. I don't know.
Oh, no. You realise that's a very dangerous thing to say, because then immediately people will be going, of course there's a right way! It's...
Then people might argue about whether there's a right way or not a right way.
Well, controversy. I like it. How are you feeling about sort of today and getting going and?
Not bad. We're going to have a very nice drive down past the Otter pub and
Yes.
all the moorings down there. But then we've got a really deep lock, and I'm not looking forward to that. But
It'll be okay.
But we haven't got many locks today. I think we're going through like 3 full locks. So that
Which is a relief after like the last couple of days, because
Yeah.
they've been very lock heavy.
Yeah.
So feeling good.
Yeah. It's very sleepy.
Yeah.
Accelerate too much on this because this is a sharp turn.
Oh look, there's the little ship restoration.
Okay. So how are we feeling about what just happened, basically, or at least our arrival back in the wonderful city of Nottingham?
It's been quite a long day.
Yeah.
But we managed to get to Nottingham, and we've moored up near Castle Marina in the city centre. It was slightly traumatic mooring up.
It was
not as traumatic as the first time.
No,
like,
exactly.
On the way we were
grading on a curve here, okay?
Yeah, on the way we kept trying to moor up where there were rocks and like fighting the boat. But
we just mildly brushed a tree.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I've got to get better at mooring because I have a tendency to slightly overcook the turn, and the front end went out way too far this time and sort of like hit a tree on the opposite side.
Only lightly.
So we had a bit of a fight with the tree.
No.
This is very embarrassing when you're surrounded by other boaters.
But it was okay. I got off, got the rope, we brought you in.
We'll get better at it.
Yes. But other than that, it's gone okay, hasn't it? I mean, yeah.
Yes. I'm very tired. It's been a very long day.
Yes.
And 2 river locks, which one of them was deep.
Yes. We can't completely escape the deep locks.
I'm getting better at not being scared of locks. It's like, you know, I was scared of a lot of things when we first started boating. I was scared of mooring up. I should be scared of mooring up again after that. I was scared of steering. I was scared of going past boats. But you know, that's all long gone. Yes, we've successfully navigated many boats today without actually bumping into any. So
yes, no bumps.
Good.
No bumps.
Yes, we haven't grounded ourselves either. So
we're doing okay.
We're doing okay.
We are. And what is the plan now?
I think get cleaned up, get changed, go to Sainsbury's, and then maybe go into town for some food.
Because frankly, I feel like we deserve it.
Yeah, I think we deserve it.
We have arrived back where we started.
I feel a bit sunburnt.
Yes, I guess I've asked how you feel a lot at this point, but I guess especially after that mooring, how do you feel?
Oh, after this mooring?
Yes.
Much better. I finally got some karma in my direction.
You just don't beat yourself up about it. You've been doing really well.
I repeatedly overcooked it on the way here, but then when we got here,
the angle you should probably clarify.
Yes, I overcooked. Well, because I can't see the front of the boat, and I haven't quite got in my brain exactly where it is, so I tend to sort of like turn too soon when the front is still a little bit too far out, which means by the time my back is in, then my front has come round too far, and I haven't quite got the sort of the whole slowing down and getting back in.
Yeah, but
thing.
Look, you're doing well. You're not.
But this actually went okay. And fortunately, our friend was who lives in the boat opposite was on the pontoon and was able to give us a hand when the front came in. So
yes,
it all went beautifully.
Which did help, but I think you, even if Kate hadn't been there, I think you would have been fine. All right, but then I am biased.
Yes, and it's a nice day, and it's over. I can relax now.
Yes.
I'm really tired, and I'm going to sleep for 2 days.
Yes, good plan. Good plan. Hello.
Hello.
It's 2 weeks later.
Something like that.
How do you feel about the trip?
I really enjoyed it. Apart from all the anxiety.
Apart from all the stress, it was.
I think by the final day, I was like, I was pretty happy with the whole thing and not that worried about locks or anything else. We got back and immediately I was like, I want to be back on the boat. I really miss the boat. Can't wait to be on the boat.
The really nice thing about the trip for me was the fact that we've had a rough year. The problems that we've talked about before, they haven't really gone away, so 2019 has not been easy. We didn't actually have to do the trip as well, just in terms of the way that we arranged the LPG. I mean, it would have been possible for us to find someone who could have actually come and done the job here. Chris Williams, the guy we got to do it, he wasn't set up for mobile travel, and he sort of said, well, look, I could do it, but you'd need to actually bring the boat to Thurmaston. And we heard that and went, ooh, because that actually gave us a reason to go. And honestly, I am so glad we did, because we could have got a guy in and done it and not gone anywhere. But this has been such it's been such a confidence boost. It's been reassuring as well, because, you know, doing something like this for so long, it's easy to slightly doubt if you're doing the right thing. You know, we've done very little narrowboating, and we've spent 3.5 years of our life trying to do this. And honestly, yeah, particularly on the second half, when on the journey back, when we had the chance to enjoy it, it was wonderful. And I'm glad that we've got that now, because I feel like that's gonna like carry us through the stuff that we have to do now, and yeah, whatever we need to sort of deal with from here onwards, we're gonna have the memory of the trip to just sort of keep us going and remind us of what we're aiming for.